Hello, everyone. How are we? Welcome to Escondido. I'm just curious, before I go any further, is there anybody in here that doesn't live here in the city? I know you don't. This is my family's row back there. What city did you come from? Oh, nice. Anybody else? San Diego? Oh, this is awesome. Got a little taste of everything. Yeah, go ahead. Where? Nice. Well, welcome. Welcome to Escondido. My name is Dane White. I have the honor of serving as mayor of the city of Escondido. Previously, I served 2 terms on the Escondido Union High School Board of Trustees before throwing my name in the ring for mayor. And this is the best job I've ever had. I just get to do stuff like this all the time, stuff that I love. I live here with my beautiful wife, who's in the back, and my 2 girls. And real quick, Sunny, can you stand up? Can everybody say happy birthday to Sunny? She turned 7 today, and I can't think of a better way to spend your birthday than listening to your dad ramble on for a half an hour. Having an opportunity to address my fellow Second Amendment enthusiasts in my hometown is an honor. And it was interesting, leading up to this week, I had a small handful of people reach out to me, some with genuine concern, others with anger. Like, did you know there's going to be a gun show at the Center for the Arts? It's like, yeah, I did know that. In fact, you ought to come Saturday at 1 o'clock and listen to me speak. I think in this world today, a lot of the animosity towards the Second Amendment and our community is really driven from a lack of understanding of what we're all about, right? Because I think for everyone in this room, it means something different, like family or friends, fun or freedom. It's discipline, it's competition. It's all things that make you a better person. And all those things are what brings us together. It doesn't help that every time there's a tragedy on TV, some politician is quick to leverage that for a quick soundbite for social media or for CNN or wherever. And it's so funny, these people. We need an assault weapons ban, but they can't define what an assault weapon is. Or they can't even tell you what a pistol brace does. Yet they want to create the rules for us to do that. I don't think this gun show should be a controversial idea coming to the city. I think we should anticipate it and welcome it. And as the mayor, I know for a fact each and every one of you, when we're done here, is going to go downtown and buy dinner or buy something from one of our shops. It's good for our local economy. It's just good all around. And I am so thankful that it finally happened. When Crossroads of the West was told they were no longer welcome at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, almost immediately after that, I started having conversations, people reaching out to me saying, hey, would Escondido welcome a gun show? And do you have a venue? And my answer was the same every time. Yes, absolutely, we want it. And this is the venue right here. So I'm so glad that we finally made it happen. For me, the Second Amendment has always played somewhat of a role in my life. And I think my wife or my dad here can attest that, since I was a kid, I've had an obsession, we'll call it a healthy obsession, with weapons in general. But, I collect knives, I shoot archery, I shoot guns. This has always been a part of my life. Even some of my earliest memories are right here growing up in Escondido and going to Grandpa's house and being, 4 or 5 years old, and Grandpa lining up pop cans on the bank. And even then, him telling me, keep your finger off the trigger till you're ready to shoot. Don't point this at anyone or anything you don't want to shoot. And no matter what kind of gun it is, BB gun, shotgun, doesn't matter. Treat every gun as if it's loaded. And I would love to sit here and tell you that I've never broken any of those rules. But there was one time in particular at Grandpa's house. This was after he retired and moved to Panguitch, Utah. Does anybody know where Panguitch is? Yeah, let me tell you, all 1,000 people who live there thank you for not coming and contaminating their city with ideas of modernism. But one day in Grandpa's backyard, shooting my little green army men with my brother, there was one army man in particular. I told him, do not shoot. This one is surviving this battle. And like any good older brother, he immediately shot that army man. And I was angry. And it just so happened the day before, we were out there with Grandpa and the BB guns, and there was one wooden post that stood up next to the targets. And Grandpa told me very specifically, do not shoot that post because you run the risk of a ricochet and it could hit somebody and hurt them. I was in a mood to hurt my brother. So we lined up, and my very next shot, I shot it, and the next thing I saw was my brother's head, pink. And now he was mad. And I instantly went into innocence mode. I'm so sorry, it was an accident. Please don't tell Dad. Yeah, one more story about Panguitch before I move on. So in 2006, for my senior year of high school, I actually finished high school in Panguitch. And the very first day, shortly after first period started, the principal got on the intercom and he says, students, if you're going to bring your guns to school, they need to be locked in a gun rack. And my ears perked up instantly, sounds like freedom to me. Something we're not quite used to here. But we are living in a different time and definitely in a different place here in California. Times right now are challenging. It's challenging politically, economically, socially, but in particular, it's challenging for the Second Amendment and its community. I mentioned before, it doesn't help when politicians weaponize a tragedy to make all of us look bad, and sometimes people are quick to directly blame the Second Amendment enthusiasts or advocates. And what's even more scary is it goes beyond just our elected officials or our representatives. Have any of you heard the story of Dexter Taylor? Do you know who that is? So Dexter Taylor is a 51-year-old black gentleman from New York. And during the pandemic, he picked up a new hobby, and that was manufacturing firearms at home, like you can do. You can order a lower receiver, finish machining it, put it all together, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a firearm, which you are then supposed to register with the government. Dexter built 13 firearms, and look, no matter how you feel about ghost guns or whatever, put that aside, because Dexter was prosecuted, and during the trial, when his defense merely mentioned the Second Amendment, do you know what the judge said? Do not bring the Second Amendment into my courtroom. It doesn't exist here. If it doesn't exist in a courtroom, where the hell does it exist? Here in California, we've got our own issues. We've got a state legislature and a governor that are absolutely hell-bent on chipping away at our rights. Second Amendment, First Amendment, doesn't matter what it is. But in particular with the Second Amendment, the most recent one, SB 2, Senate Bill 2, which would have effectively nullified your CCW, because what it did was turn almost every public space into a sensitive area, aka gun-free zone, and you essentially wouldn't have been allowed to carry anywhere, right? And this keeps happening to us time and time again. Magazine capacity limits, how much ammo you can purchase. You need a background check to purchase it. It's like one thing after another, and I'm convinced that a lot of these politicians are just throwing as much as they can, hoping that we will just get annoyed and give up. But I'm here to tell you that's not going to happen. What's even more scary beyond that, when you look at Congress right now, Congress has arguably one job: write the rules, write policy, make law. But they have delegated that responsibility to different three-letter agencies like the ATF with 5,000 bureaucrats that just sit around itching to make you a felon out of thin air. No matter how you feel about a bump stock, the fact that a government agency can instantly turn thousands, if not tens of thousands of people immediately into a felon, that's a problem. And that's not how this system was designed to work. So I'm standing here before you today as proof that any goofball off the street can win elected office, right? Most people don't realize there's only 2 qualifications. You got to be 18 and you got to live in the city you're going to run. And that's it. The standard's pretty low. But I think collectively in this room, what we have to start doing is electing politicians that will allow themselves to be held accountable. And it starts here and it starts today. So this is my 3rd run for office. Before this, I spent 6 years on the high school board in town. And for me, it was important, all 3 elections, to be endorsed by good organizations and good people. And I ran 3 times as an endorsed candidate by the San Diego County gun owners. And to me, it was an opportunity for me to let you all know where I stand, without a shadow of a doubt. And we need more politicians who can tell you exactly where they stand. But it's hard, right? I said it before that we are in challenging times. And one of the questions I have for all of you and for myself is, are you up for that challenge? And beyond that, one of the things that I've had to ask myself over the last few years is, what can I do? Am I doing enough? And that's even more interesting now that I'm the mayor. I've got a bigger platform, a bigger voice, more responsibility. What can I do? And for me, it starts with policy. Now, at the city level, there's not a whole lot we can do. The state writes the rules for the Second Amendment for the most part. But what we can do, and what I am committed to do for all of you, is advocate for good policy and oppose bad policy through a resolution. Anytime that the state is working to chip away our rights, the Escondido City Council will take up a resolution and oppose any attempt to do that. Beyond that, I think the next greatest tool I have is education. A couple of months back, I had a guy reach out to me, one of my constituents, and he wanted to talk about the Second Amendment. This was right after one of the shootings. And I don't shy away from any conversation, but it's one of those ones you go into knowing that you're not going to agree with anything this person says. And it was funny, he opened up the conversation by saying, I've hunted back in the day, and nobody needs an AR-15 to hunt a deer. And it's instantly, they don't know what they don't know. And I had an opportunity to sit down with him. I showed him a .223 round and a .308 round and said, would this one not be a little more dangerous than this one? Why do you only want to ban this one? I showed him a picture of a Ruger Mini 14 and an AR-15 and said, which one's the bad one? And obviously he pointed to the AR-15. Well, did you know that this other one has the same caliber, same rate of fire and everything? It's just not scary looking. And it only took 15 or 20 minutes before you could see the wheels turning in his head like, I think I've been duped a little bit. And I think that happens more often than not. Going back to what I said earlier, I think that a lot of this controversy is just wholly surrounded on misunderstanding. Yeah, as mayor, I should be willing to use any tool at my disposal, and I will use any tool at my disposal to do exactly what I swore an oath to do, right? To preserve our rights. So my question now to you all is, what will you do? Because everybody sitting in this room, right here, right now, is the last line of defense. We can't lose many more of us, and we got to start focusing on bringing more people into the fold. I would encourage you, as you leave here today, during this coming up election cycle, to support candidates who will tell you exactly where they stand. Get a voter guide. If you're in San Diego County, the San Diego County Gun Owners has a fantastic voter guide. I would recommend not voting for an individual based solely off of one issue. However, I think when somebody will emphatically state, one way or the other, where they stand on the Second Amendment, you're going to have a pretty good idea of what they're going to be willing to do for the others. Another thing you can do is support some of these Second Amendment advocacy groups. The Firearms Policy Coalition, again, San Diego County gun owners, who aren't just playing defense like we're forced to do so much of the time. They play offense every day. For as little as $10 a month, you can sign up and join the cause. And with those groups in particular, especially the gun owners, it's not just money so they can post cool stories on social media and argue with people. You're supporting lawsuits. You're supporting good candidates for office. I think it was my first 2 times running for school board. We send out texts now. You can send out like 8,000 texts all at once. And both times I got a dozen or more replies from people saying, already voted for him because he was on the San Diego County Gun Owners Guide. And that's what your investment does. It helps further the cause in every direction. And the last thing I would tell you is help foster this community. Again, through education, whether that's social media in your day-to-day life, help people understand what we're all about. And through invitation. I think it was a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago, a friend of mine invited me to an AR-15 match. I had never been to anything like that. And as somebody who has spent time, basically my entire life shooting guns, I shouldn't have been nervous going into something like this, but I was, right? You think, I don't want to be the worst one, I might have the ugliest gun, whatever the case may be, right? But you get there, and it's the most welcoming community, and everybody there wants you to succeed and be the best that you can be. We need to be bringing more people in to have those opportunities. We got to get rid of this misunderstanding that's driving us all further apart. I recognize that some of what I said might come off as a bit doom and gloom. I don't mean it that way. I am optimistic when it comes to our future. Like I said, we're the last line of defense. And whatever you have been doing, just know it's not enough. You got to do more. Everybody's got to commit to doing more to help further this cause. So with that, I'll thank you. I'll leave you with that and open it up for any questions.
This just, it's not a microphone, so speak loudly. It just records it for the online community. Okay. Thank you.
So my question's about the concealed carry. So I applied recently, and my appointment is in April of next year. What is being done to streamline that process to make it so something doesn't take a year to get? And is anything in Escondido can be doing?
I'll answer the second half of that first.
I can answer the first part.
Perfect.
You go first, though.
So what can Escondido do to help further that? I keep hearing there's a path forward to somehow allow the police chief to issue CCWs, and we're very much interested in that. But as far as the first part, I'll let you take that.
So, San Diego County Gun Owners works directly with the Sheriff's Department and the licensing division. So the thing right now is that they're short-staffed, which is why there's only 2 days a week, which is when they're doing appointments. So we're trying to work with them to get more people, more staff, right? But it's just there's time constraints and there's people constraints right now. So as they start to build that up and get more funding, they will have more appointments.
So if any, like for you or anybody else that's in that waiting period, one little tip I can give you is check the sheriff's website. Log into your account and check, because if somebody cancels or moves or something, you can take an earlier appointment. So it's worth logging in and checking, because you might get an earlier appointment.
Okay, I had gone on to try and do that, and all you can do is apply, that I saw, apply for a new appointment.
Which is what you want to do. It's just unless you choose a new date, it won't cancel your original appointment.
Okay.
So as frequently as you can check it, do that, because a lot of times they do pop up earlier.
And I've had people push it up a month, 2 months at a time, right? So you'll get it sooner than that.
I've met people.
Right now, there's a lot of openings. I have some people that went from August next year to next month.
Yeah,
Just last week.
I've seen people get lucky and get one the next week. So keep checking.
They're really lucky. Anybody else?
Oh, here we go.
First, I want to say thanks for bringing the gun shows back to our
Yes,
city.
thank you.
And
Don't thank me, thank them.
next, this is a great start. Do you have potential plans in mind to do annually and or maybe bigger venues?
One of the first questions I asked when I got here was, could we do this twice a year? So yeah, I would love to.
Here you go, sir.
I'm really glad you're doing this in Escondido. I was an attendee in Del Mar for years and years and enjoyed that. What I question is, what kind of efforts can you make or we make to get the word out better? The crowds at Del Mar were really big. I had hoped to see a crowd that big here in Escondido because there's pent-up demand. And the only way I found out about this event today was my wife's on nextdoor.com.
Oh, she saw my post.
Somebody, maybe it was your post, and she put it, said, oh, this would be interesting to you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known and I wouldn't have come. So some kind of more, better publicity, better communication, somehow getting the word out. I think there's a big pent-up demand
For sure.
for this.
And I think this is a great turnout for a first one. And I didn't really start seeing any real advertisements until about 10 days ago. So all things considered, this is a great first turnout. But I'm sure there are other things we can do to promote it a little more. Anybody else?
Questions?
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome.